A new season doesn't require you to erase your life, reject the woman you've been, walk away from everything you have built, or suddenly become someone no one recognizes. A new season only asks you to become more intentional about what you bring forward, because not everything that belonged in the last chapter automatically belongs in this one. Some things will, some relationships will deepen, or some values will become even more important. Some dreams you placed on the shelf may still be waiting for you, and some parts of yourself that became quiet may finally have room to speak again. And some things may not need to be discarded at all. They may simply need to change shape. Maybe it's looking at a new way you parent, or the way you work or care for people, the way you use your time, the way you dress, speak, lead, contribute, or allow yourself to be seen. And the question is not necessarily, what do I need to let go of? A better question may be, what gets to stay? What still feels true? What deserves your time, attention, and energy now? What reflects the woman you've become rather than the woman you once needed to be? And what needs to be adjusted or blessed and released so that what matters most has room to remain? That's what we're talking about today. Welcome back to Raising Her Confidence. I'm Kim, founder of Power Within Collective and creator of Radiance Reclaimed. In the last episode, we talked about recognizing the season you're actually in. We looked at why old solutions may stop working, not because something's wrong with you, but because the circumstances, responsibilities, needs, or desires of your life have changed. Recognition helps you locate yourself. Today, we're going to take the next step. Now that you can begin to see where you are, how do you decide what belongs here? What should remain or be updated or ready for you to stop carrying? This is phase 2, the release. But I want to reframe that word today. Release is not about stripping your life bare. It's about making an intentional choice. I think many women resist the idea of release because it sounds ungrateful. We hear words such as let go, move on, or reinvent yourself, and it can feel as though we're being told to dismiss everything that came before. But your past is not something you need to apologize for. The roles you played and held mattered. The sacrifice you made mattered. The years you gave to your family, career, relationships, your community, your health, education, or business mattered. Even the versions of yourself that feel unfamiliar now may have been exactly who you needed to be at that time. There were seasons when survival required strength, and there were seasons when the needs of your children came before your own. There were seasons when keeping the peace felt more important than speaking up. There may have been seasons when the way you dressed helped you blend in, remain practical, or stay protected, or simply get through the day. And there may have been a season when success meant keeping everybody fed, safe, scheduled, supported. That version of you should not be criticized. She should be thanked. But thanking her doesn't mean she must continue leading every decision you make. There's a difference between honoring a chapter and continuing to live inside it after it has ended. There is also a difference between carrying forward the wisdom of a season and carrying forward every survival strategy you developed within it. Maybe vigilance protected you once. That doesn't mean you must remain on alert forever. Maybe being available to everyone helped your family through a difficult period. That doesn't mean unlimited availability must become your permanent identity. Or maybe setting aside your dreams was a loving and necessary choice, but that doesn't mean your dreams must remain on the shelf after the circumstances change. Release is not rejection. It's not saying that part of my life didn't matter. It's just saying that part of my life mattered deeply, and now I'm willing to ask what still belongs. That is an entirely different posture, and it's not resentment, it's discernment. When a woman realizes she's in a new season, she may immediately begin looking for everything that's wrong. She may evaluate her habits or her body, her home, her marriage, her friendships, her career, her closet, her calendar, and even her motivation. And she starts identifying everything she should change. And before long, the next chapter becomes another self-improvement project. Now she has this whole list of ways she believes she's behind. And that's not what I want for you. The purpose of recognizing a new season is not to create another reason to be dissatisfied with yourself. It's to become more honest and intentional about how you want to live. And that begins by identifying what is already worth preserving. Perhaps what gets to stay is your devotion to your family, but the belief that you must solve every problem for them doesn't. Or perhaps your ambition gets to stay, but the pace that is draining your health does not. Or maybe your business gets to stay, but the offer, audience, and schedule or definition of success needs to evolve. Perhaps your love of beauty and style gets to stay, but the pressure to look like a younger version of yourself doesn't. And perhaps your role as a mother gets to stay forever, but the way you perform that role must change as your children grow. We tend to think in extremes: stay or leave, keep or discard, continue or quit. But life is rarely that simple. Sometimes the right answer is not release. Sometimes it's just an adjustment or renewal. Sometimes something valuable has been buried under exhaustion or resentment, poor boundaries, or an outdated structure. The dream may not be unrealistic, but the timeline may need to change. And the work still matter. The way you're delivering it may no longer be sustainable. Even your clothes may not be wrong. It just simply may need to be styled in a way that reflects the woman wearing it today. Asking what gets to stay helps you begin with value instead of deficiency. It reminds you that you're not rebuilding from nothing. You're standing on years of experience, earned wisdom, relationships, skills, values, lessons, and resilience. That's not starting over. It's choosing more deliberately from everything your life has taught you. There's 5 areas where you can begin to see what belongs in this season. And you don't need to examine your whole entire life today. You can simply listen and notice which areas speak most clearly to you. Your calendar tells the truth about what is receiving your life. Not necessarily what matters most to you, what is actually receiving you. Your hours, your attention, your preparation, your emotional energy, your recovery time. Look at what repeatedly appears on your calendar. Does it reflect your current priorities, or is it still organized around demands that changed months or even years ago? A new mom may need to release the expectation that she can maintain the same pace she carried before having a baby. Or a woman building a business may need to stop treating her meaningful work as something she squeezes into whatever time remains. A caregiver may realize she needs support, not another lecture about managing her time better. Or an empty nester may discover that her calendar still revolves around the availability and needs of adult children who are capable of managing more for themselves. The question's not, am I busy? The question is my time being used in a way that reflects what matters in this season? What on your calendar gets to stay, and what needs a different amount of space? Number 2, your responsibilities. Many women carry responsibilities long after those responsibilities have changed ownership. We become so accustomed to being the person who remembers, organizes, anticipates, corrects, prepares, and rescues that we don't notice when other people become capable of carrying more. This is especially true in motherhood. When your children are young, protection and management, they're necessary. You make decisions for them because they can't really make those decisions for themselves. But as they grow, love must remain steady while your role changes. You begin moving from protector to mentor and eventually towards supporter. And that doesn't mean you stop caring. It means you stop using control as the primary expression of care. The same applies to other relationships. You can care about someone without becoming responsible for every decision they make. And you can support someone without carrying the consequences of choices you didn't make. You can be dependable without becoming endlessly available. And you can love your family without organizing your entire identity around being needed. So ask yourself, is this responsibility truly mine in this season? Some responsibilities will absolutely remain, but they may need to be carried a little differently. Number 3, your routines. Routines can support us, but they can also quietly preserve an outdated life. Maybe your mornings begin with checking everyone else's messages, needs, and schedules before you even notice how you feel. Maybe you automatically work late because that's what was required during a demanding season, even though it's no longer required now. Maybe you keep postponing rest until every task is complete, although the tasks are never complete. Maybe you still plan for your week as if every hour must be productive. A routine's not valuable simply because you've always done it. It's valuable when it helps you live the life you consciously choose. Which routines still support you, and which ones need to be simplified? Which routines belong to a household, a role, career, or body that's changed? You don't have to throw out everything familiar. You can keep the intention and change the structure. Perhaps the intention is caring for your family, but the structure doesn't have to be doing everything yourself. Or perhaps the intention is growing your business, but the structure doesn't have to be working during every available hour. Keep the value, adjust the method. Number 4, your outer environment. Your outer environment often reveals a chapter you are still carrying internally. That environment includes your home, your workspace, vehicle, digital files, social media, and yes, your closet. I've spent nearly 4 decades working with women through beauty, image, color, hair, makeup, style, and personal presence. And I can tell you that a closet is rarely just a collection of clothing. It can hold former bodies, former jobs, former identities, former expectations, the outfit you wore when you needed to be taken seriously, or the clothes you bought for a lifestyle that never quite materialized, the things you keep because you spent the money on them, or the pieces that connected to a younger version of yourself. None of that means you need to empty your closet and buy an entirely new wardrobe. It means your outer life can help you see where your inner life has not yet been updated. Ask yourself, does this still represent me, or does this support the life I live now? Do I feel present when I wear this, or do I feel as if I'm dressing for someone I used to be? The goal is not to become trendy. It's to become current with your life, your values, your body, current with the woman you see when you look honestly at yourself today. Your environment doesn't need to be perfect, but it should increasingly make room for the person who is living there now. And number 5, your inner rules. This may be the most important area of all, because every woman carries invisible rules about who she is allowed to be. Rules such as a good mother is always available, or a strong woman doesn't need help. It's too late to begin again. Wanting more means I'm ungrateful, or I should be able to manage this. Everyone else must be comfortable before I make a change. People expect me to be the dependable one. I can't disappoint anyone. These rules can feel like truth because we've repeated them for years, but many of them were written for an earlier chapter. They may have been shaped by family expectations, culture, fear, financial necessity, survival, or a moment when maintaining stability was essential. So the question is now, is this still a value I consciously choose, or is it an old rule I continue to obey? Values deserve to stay, but fear-based rules deserve to be examined. There's a difference. Now I want to give you a very practical exercise. You can do this in a notebook or on your phone, or simply think through it while you listen. Choose one area of your life, not your entire life, just in one area. It could be motherhood, your marriage, your career, your business, your health, your friendships, your appearance, or your home, your schedule, your role within your extended family. And at the top of the page, write the name of that area. Then create 3 columns: keep, adjust, and release. Under keep, write what remains true, meaningful, supportive, and aligned. These are the values, people, practices, responsibilities, dreams, and qualities you want to carry forward. And you might write, I want to keep being emotionally available to my children, or I want to keep my commitment to my marriage or grow my business. I want to keep caring for my health. Don't rush past this section. Acknowledge what's good, recognize what's working, and honor what you've built. Under adjust, write what still matters but needs a new expression. Perhaps you want to remain available to your adult children, but not on demand every hour of the day. Perhaps you want to continue working, but with a schedule that supports your health and relationships. Adjustment is one of the most overlooked forms of wisdom. We often keep enduring something exactly as it is until we become resentful enough to abandon it entirely. Adjustment gives us another option. The third one is release. Under release, write what no longer supports the life you're consciously choosing. This might be the belief that asking for help makes me weak, or the need to explain every decision, the pressure to maintain an image that no longer feels honest, the expectation that my body should respond exactly as it did 20 years ago, the habit of saying yes before checking my capacity, the commitment I continue only because I'm afraid of disappointing someone, or a goal I no longer want but feel embarrassed to admit I've grown. Release doesn't require anger. You don't need to build a case against something before you're allowed to put it down. Sometimes the most honest sentence is simply saying, "This served a purpose once, but I'm complete with it now." As a mother of 6, I've lived through many versions of motherhood. There were years when my children needed me to manage almost everything: their schedules, transportation, their safety, appointments, meals, school needs, emotional worlds. There were seasons when keeping our family moving required nearly every part of me. But children grow and circumstances change. My love remains, but the role had to evolve, and that evolution's not always easy. Sometimes being needed gives us direction, it gives us our day's structure, and it gives us evidence that we matter. But when people begin needing us differently, we may continue doing what we have always done, not because they still require it, but because we're unsure who we are without it. I believe it asks us to gather the pieces that remain true and bring them forward with greater wisdom. The love stays, the earned experiences stay, the value stays, and the purpose may stay. But the way those things are expressed may become more honest, more current, and more aligned. So you can tell that it doesn't mean discarding your life. You're just recognizing what your life has been preparing you to carry next. Release doesn't have to be dramatic to be real. It may begin with one honest no, one conversation, one appointment you finally make for yourself, and one responsibility you return to the person who owns it. It might be an hour a week placed on your calendar for something that matters to you. This is how alignment begins. Not always with a major reinvention, often with one small decision that tells the truth. Before we close, return to the area you chose. Look at your 3 columns: keep, adjust, and release. Now complete these 3 sentences. I am keeping blank because it still reflects what matters to me. I'm adjusting blank so it can support the life I'm living now. And I am releasing blank because I no longer need it to determine how I live or who I am. Then choose one action, only one. What is the one thing you can do within the next 24 hours that honors what you just recognized? Send the message, move the appointment. Clear one small space. Wear the outfit that makes you feel present. Ask for support. Say no without writing a 3-paragraph explanation. Write down the idea. Give someone else the opportunity to carry their own responsibility. Sit quiet long enough to hear what you actually think. One action. Let it be small enough to complete and meaningful enough to tell the truth. You don't have to bring everything with you simply because it's traveled with you this far. But you also don't have to leave behind everything that belonged to another chapter. Some things have earned the right to stay. Your wisdom, values, devotion, resilience, tenderness, humor, creativity, your love for the people whose needs may now look different. Keep what's true and adjust what still matters but needs a new form. Release what prevents you from living with greater honesty, presence, and intention. In episode 39, you recognized where you are, and today you begin deciding what belongs here. In the next episode, we're going to move into phase 3, realign, because recognition creates clarity and release creates room. Realignment, that's going to be how that truth begins to become visible. So until next time, remember, you're not starting over. You're choosing what deserves to move forward with you. I'll see you next week on Raising Her Confidence.